Okay, Maddie, can you take it back to the start? So when we talk about poetry, we've done the structure of poetry. We're going to come back to the structure of poetry. Josh, could you get the lights? But I want to talk about the substance of poetry. And to me, you don't have to close it all the way, but just twist it up a little bit. To me, the substance of poetry, yeah, that's good, that's good. The substance of poetry is infinitely more interesting and fun to talk about. So first slide, next slide, sorry. When we look at the substance of poetry, we're trying to figure out what is the poem communicating? What does it mean? Next slide.
Hey, where did you get that sheet from the field of
I passed it out. Do you not have it?
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Hold on. Okay. So you guys, there's two types of word meanings. One is denotation, and one is connotation. I think these might have been vocab words in Mr. Willoughby's class. Does it sound familiar?
No.
Okay, well maybe it'll be a vocab word next year. So denotation is the literal definition or concrete meaning. It's a fancy word for definition. And the way that I remember denotation is definition. They both start with D. And so where you're going to go to find the denotation is a dictionary, or my favorite, littlедictionary.com. And so you do, when you read poetry, often these are old words. Like you found this in reading Romeo and Juliet. You don't know all the words. Sometimes they're archaic. You need to look them up, and you need to know the denotative meaning. Matt.
The video is not videoing the thing because you can't see it. Is there a chance you can pull down the screen because like
It is.
glare is like right in. Like,
Okay, so no, but I worked this out with them. I send the slideshow to them, and I just talk through it. Can you do something about that?
Mrs. Childers, is there?
If you put the screen down, they can see them. Can you put the
The
screen
glare
down?
is straight in my face.
That helps.
Thank you.
There you go.
Oh, from the. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Okay, Andrew and Taylor, you can thank Maddie for the advanced technology. I'll still send you a slideshow. Next slide. Denotation. Now we're going to look at connotation.
Oh, I didn't write.
Is the idea or feeling evoked by a word or phrase. So another word for this is figurative meaning or symbolic meaning. So it's really, I gave this example in another class, that if I said cumulus clouds were building on the horizon and emitting lightning and thunder. Okay, we would know denotatively, that these are thunderclouds and a storm is coming. That's denotative. It's a weather event. But connotatively, if you see dark clouds building and it's thundering and lightning in a movie, what do you expect?
A thunderstorm. A bad scene, like a scary scene.
Trouble. There's trouble. Okay, that would be an example of connotation. You might feel a little bit of fear or trepidation, and you expect something bad is happening because the sky is darkening and there's thunder and lightning. Okay? So most poems have denotative meaning and they have connotative meaning. Okay, let me give you an example. Next slide. So, a dove. Okay, what do you associate with a dove, by the way?
Light.
Jesus
Peace.
Christ.
Jesus.
I don't.
Jesus.
Okay,
Bird.
I hear you. I hear you. So denotative, your definition, if you look it up, it would read a stocky, seed, or fruit-eating bird with small head, short legs, pointed tail, and a cooing voice. Bell and tip. They're also known to be messengers. That's your denotative. But we, all of you, had a very rapid association. Some of you associated a dove with peace, with God, and then there's all these other things listed. Innocence, gentleness, tenderness, love, harmony, tranquility. So that would be the connotative meaning. Okay?
Release the dove.
Okay, next slide. We're actually going to go over this slide. So we want to look, next one. We want to do denotative.
What's that?
Are you okay?
That was my conversation. I didn't have it.
All right? Okay, you want to look at word meaning. You also want to look at literary devices. You all know these. With some good listening skills, you might be able to define these very quickly. So next slide, you guys are going to see examples. Alliteration, this is like a third grade literary device, but nonetheless write it down. You know it, it's the repetition of the initial sound. Now here's what I do want to say, on the same line of poetry. So, alliteration is often defined as the same beginning sound for consecutive words. So it's a little bit different with poetry. It's initial word sounds on the same line. So they don't have to be consecutive, they're just on the same line. Okay? Everybody got this?
So like the snake's named Sally Slytherin.
Yeah, I could say a snake was slithering as it slowly went by.
Okay.
So it could be broken up by other words. Okay, next slide. Illusion.
No.
Here, I got you. It's not that hard.
Yes.
Sorry, I just poured water on myself.
Okay.
How?
Yeah,
I didn't get it.
because it's the diphthong twa and thrust. Yes. For our purposes, yes. In college, yes. Okay? Okay, so an allusion. Allusion is a statement that has an indirect reference to a work, person, event. We've talked about these before. If I were to say that he's strong as Goliath, that would be a biblical allusion. If I were to say their relationship is like Romeo and Juliet, that would be a literary allusion. If I said he has the honesty of George Washington, historical allusion. Or maybe if I said he has the eye of the tiger, that would be a cultural allusion.
A statement that his that doesn't make sense.
Oh, typo. Statement that has an indirect reference. Okay? So these are fun, and when we look at poems, there are especially a lot of Greek and Roman allusions, which is one of the things I like about classical education. You guys can get it. You can tell what they're referring to. Okay, next slide. Assonance. I don't know if you guys have had this one before. This one's weird. It's the repetition of vowel sounds in the middle of a word. So it's on the same line of poetry, and it's the repetition of vowel sounds. And you have to look at, for assonance, it's not going to jump out at you. Okay, so that, cat, sat, back.
It's sad. Sorry, you. Act that, act that.
Sadie says no, so I'm just gonna laugh at it.
Maddie, you should be able to take notes and do that. I think you can. The other folks do it. I think it's harder for Sadie to take double notes than for me to take notes. Okay. Are you okay? Okay. Okay, so I want you guys to keep this one in mind. So it's the internal part of the word, and you're going to look for this when we annotate a poem in a minute. Okay, next slide. Anaphora. I love this. I like that Mr. Willoughby introduced this to you, and that it just continues through composition, repetition of keywords or phrases in a sentence for emphasis, dramatic emphasis. You're going to see that used in the poem that we annotate today. But I love Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. And I'm so thankful that you guys read that in Mr. Willoughby's class. And you know that I have a dream, if anybody uses that in a sentence, most folks recognize the cultural allusion that you're alluding to this speech. Okay? And I really like that some of you are using anaphora in your mini thesis because it's a really great rhetorical device also. Okay, you guys have this? Okay, Take your time.
Okay, that long as you.
Well, you can take your time, but I do want to try to,
Christian.
I do want to try to get through the annotating with you guys. Okay, so consonants sounds like assonance, and it's really similar. Next slide. So assonance was the repetition of a vowel sound. Consonance is the repetition of a consonant sound in the middle of words on a line of poetry. So string and strong probably isn't the best example, but lumpy bumpy. Some mammals are clammy. Humpty Dumpty. Like anytime you have consonants in the middle of the word that are the same,
This
that's
is animal. Mammals.
Some
mammals. Are
I saw animals.
It's sixth period. I know it plays tricks on your eyes when you see these in different colors. Okay, so you have to look for these also. But what it does is it does give this creative effect when you put words together like this. Okay, Logan, you with us? Okay. Okay. Keep your head up. Okay, next slide. So I think I'm skipping one. No, imagery. So imagery is a huge pot of devices. Anything that appeals to your senses is imagery. Okay? So it appeals to your eyes or sense of hearing or smell. It kind of creates, it brings a picture to life. That's imagery. And there are lots of things in poetry that don't fit in simile, metaphor, personification, but you can tell they're being creative, and a lot of times it's just imagery. In 6th and 7th grade, maybe even first semester, I call them 5 sense words because they're appealing to the 5 senses. Okay? You don't have to write these down. You know the 5 senses. Okay? Okay, next slide. Onomatopoeia. I hope I didn't forget. I'll come back to it. I don't have a slide for it. So onomatopoeia are like the cartoon words. They are any word that sounds like its definition. So boom, crash, pow, zonk.
It's definition.
I know, isn't that weird? So a boom is a loud boom. Crash is a crash. I guess you could define it without its words, but it's got an auditory quality. Okay, simile is not on the slideshow. I guess I left that out assuming you know it. So Christian, what is a simile?
A simile is a comparison using like or as.
Okay, good.
Comparison.
Did you write it down ahead of time?
No, I just remember that.
Oh.
Awesome.
Why do you say it like you read it?
Say it again.
You looked down on this paper.
You know what? His delivery is
Write it down.
fine. It was loud and
Say it
clear.
again.
No.
A comparison using like or as.
So would you only say that crash is an onomatopoeia when you're saying like, and then we went crash? Or would you say it like, is it still an onomatopoeia when you're saying like, I got into a crash?
I got into a crash. I think it's more if it's like quotation marks.
Okay, so
Yeah.
not like I got into
Yeah,
a crash.
like a exclamatory.
Right,
Okay.
like a describing word, like
Yeah.
I got into a crash.
Yeah. Okay. So similes. You guys know similes. What's the example on there, Lucy, of a simile?
The rising sun looks like a fiery ball.
Oh, wait a second. I didn't skip simile. I skipped metaphor.
Yeah.
And personification.
And personification. Okay, go back up to metaphor.
A comparison not using like
A comparison not using like or as.
Personification is after onomatopoeia. Do you have that on the slide?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I do. Yes, I skipped simile and metaphor. Okay,
And
so
personification.
simile is a comparison using like or as. Metaphor is a comparison that doesn't use like or as. Okay, I've done this too many times. So you've got those in, and let's just see what the next slide pulls
Wait.
up. I hope it's personification.
How is the sun rising looks like a fiery ball? 'Cause isn't that what it is? Doesn't that say something that's smaller? The
Look,
city came.
The sun, read it again.
I said
hydrogen gas causing fire. But you're right, it should be comparing two things that are different.
Okay.
Okay? Okay, next slide. Personification, there it is. Giving human qualities to a non-human being, or if you want to write an inanimate object. Giving human qualities to a non-human thing.
It was on our vocab list.
Okay, so this is a great poem that demonstrates personification. Sometimes you'll just have a single line that shows personification, and sometimes you'll have like the whole thing. So Jacob, you're up front. Could you read it loud for us? And then I'm gonna ask you guys to tell me how winter is personified in this poem.
The wind howled and the sky exploded in anger.
Could you read the poem on that?
Outside my window, I noticed Winter walking towards the house. His cane clacks the sidewalk like hailstones. His cloak casts such lengthy shadows. His beard leans into the chilly wind, and his arrival changes the world that once grew and thrived in greens and pinks outside my window.
Okay, short, powerful, thin. How is winter personified?
It doesn't actually walk towards the house, it's like flowing instead of walking around.
So walking is a personal quality, okay, Anna Grace?
Like using a cane or cloak, like those are both human pieces of clothing or like
That we would use.
objects. Right.
Okay, Olivia?
Winter can't have a beard.
Winter, that's beard, okay, so that's personal. Now let me ask you, just based on what you've seen, winter isn't just personified, what is it personified as?
An old man.
An old man. Yeah, that cane and beard, even though a young man could have a beard, it's like the cane and beard together makes you think of an old man. Winter is kind of like the old season, like when things are dying.
And also said that one screw right. So it kind of displays that old.
Right, that he's bringing oldness into what was once alive and brilliant. Okay, so this is a great example of personification. We'll see some more in today's poem. Next slide. Simile, here's simile. So you guys wrote the definition down. So you know music is full of similes and metaphors. So Catherine, in this poem, these lyrics that are purple, what are the similes that you see?
As pretty as a picture, strong like a lion.
Strong like a family?
Kind strong like a
Okay, so you've got similes in there. How about in this, Belle?
It's Katy Perry. And it's now floating like a butterfly, stinging like a bee, I earned my stripes. I went from zero to my own hero, and it is from Roar. Is that right?
Is it Roar or Eye of the Tiger?
And she doesn't sing Eye of the Tiger.
It's Roar.
She sings Roar.
Okay, it's from Roar. Cultural allusion. But you read the whole thing, and what were the similes, Belle? Just tell me, what are the two similes?
Like a butterfly, like a bee.
Like a bee.
earned
Okay,
my stripes.
there you go. Does anybody know this song?
Oh, I know that song.
Okay, I guess it's from Roar. All of a sudden, I'm remembering. Okay, so if you listen to your favorite music, whether it is rap or Disney, you are going to hear simile metaphors. Music is poetic. Okay, next slide.
Wait, what is that song?
Roar. Oh, this one, I don't know, but somebody recognized it.
No,
the last
the
part.
first one, I recognize the first one. It used to be an old Disney Channel trailer that they'd play in between like movies.
Okay.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Ask Julie.
About
She
like
knew it.
DVDs and stuff.
Yeah. Me and my mom and sister, or my sister used to like that song, so we'd play it in the car when I was younger.
It's funny, those songs from childhood. Okay, symbolism. Using symbols to represent ideas or qualities. Logan, pick up your
You
pencil.
skipped oxymoron.
Logan and Charlie.
You skipped
We've-
oxymoron.
I'll come back to oxymoron. Symbolism. This is an exercise in tracking with me. So symbolism, using symbols to represent ideas or qualities. So we've talked about how a dove represents peace. In Christianity, when you're baptized and you go under the water, it symbolizes death, and when you come out, it symbolizes life. Okay? What does the bread and the wine represent?
Body and blood.
Body and blood of Christ. So we have lots of symbols. There's some listed here, like you already mentioned winter, death and dying. An eagle symbolizes freedom, liberty. A skull symbolizes death. I like this one. A full moon symbolizes danger and weirdness.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, how so, Lucy?
Because like, you know, like when you're like walking at nighttime and you're like in the moon, it's scary. And when you're like, I just feel like the moon's associated with darkness and darkness is associated with.
Okay, but Sarah Rhodes hit it.
Oh.
Werewolves and vampires.
Oh.
Okay, no, I'm sorry, it's just a symbol. So we're full of symbols. Okay, oxymoron. Don't have a slide, so listen. Sadie, you have a question?
Yes, what's that last one?
Middle age.
Autumn symbolizes middle age and maturity. I'm in the autumn twilight. What?
I didn't say anything else.
Full moon.
Okay, oxymoron is a figure of speech with two words that seem to contradict. This is oxymoron. A figure of speech with two words that seem to contradict. Did you already know it?
It was a
Awesome.
word and.
That's so good. Was it a vocab word?
Vocab.
Okay. So you know it. That's great. This is just fallback for old poetry exams. So things like I gave you the example, Jumbo's shrimp. Maybe you've heard friendly fire.
No, 55.
Okay. The only choice. I'm trying to think of some others. Awfully nice. Okay, so all of these now, if you want to Google literary devices, oh, I don't know, there must be 80 or 90. So I'm trying to take the ones that are age appropriate and maybe like push you a little bit into high school with the assonants and the consonants. This is what we're going to focus on. There are more. There's one I don't have listed here, hyperbole. Do you remember what that is?
Yeah.
Oh,
Exaggeration.
oh my gosh.
Exaggeration. Okay, good.
Sixth grade.
Awesome. Okay, so I think, oh, I don't want to turn this off. Next slide.
The book says.
Okay, so you guys, I'm going to take this off and we are going to annotate. Annotation is how you find the meaning of poetry. And it involves writing on the poem. And there are 5 steps I'm going to give you, and we are going to walk through those 5 steps. We've got 20 minutes to annotate a poem, and guess which poem we're going to do?
I
want
wonder.
to look at a cloud.
Third time I've given you this poem, so you should, for the rest of your life, when you see this poem, go, oh, Mrs. Childers did this with us in 8th grade. Okay, can you turn on lights?
Turn this to the hover.
Turn that to the hover cam. Yes?
I think there's one that I didn't turn into.
No, I didn't.
Okay, can you ask me at the end of class? Okay, so you guys, quickly. Okay. Hey, I did not say turn around and talk to people.
Do you need me anymore?
Eliza Min, Val, Tim, you like to talk. You're going to read the first part of the poem for us. And the first time that you read a poem, I'm looking at this. What you do is you just read it for pleasure. Did you know that? The poetry is meant to be heard. Even if you're alone, you should read it out loud because it's meant to be listened to. So Val, I would like for you to read stanza 1, Timothy stanza 2, Eliza Min stanza 3, and Anna Grace stanza 4.
Harry stanza 5.
Well, we're going to read it 3 times.
Oh, I can't say no. Oh,
Can I read
man.
it?
Val, first stanza.
Okay. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er valleys and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze.
Keep going, Tim.
Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, They stretched a never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance.
The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not be but gay in such joking company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought.
For oft when on my couch I lie, and vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills, and dances with the daffodils.
Okay, isn't it lovely? It's just such a happy, when I was studying poetry in college, I got to this poem, I was like, I like this. It's simple, it makes me think of nature.
Wait, is A-B-A-B-C-C, that pattern thing?
Yeah, I saw that too. I was like,
Okay, I love that, and we are going to talk about that, but we're going to focus on substance. So we're going to read it a second time. When you annotate, you read a second time. And hold on.
Really?
We are going to box any words that are unfamiliar. So this is, you're going to pick up your pen, you're going to box any words that are familiar, and I'm going to call on you. So Caroline, I'm going to ask you to do stanza 1, Olivia 2, Charlie 3, and then
I don't have one.
He doesn't have
you
one.
don't have one?
Seriously, Ben? Yes, it is. It's all your fault.
Okay. Everyone is hey. Everyone is boxing in words that they don't understand, and there should be at least 2. At least. Okay, go ahead, Caroline.
You want me reading it?
Stanza 1.
Oh, okay. I wandered lonely in the clouds that looked on high o'er boughs and hills. When all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake beneath the trees. Oh my gosh. Fluttering and dancing in the breeze. My voice is
Okay, it's okay, Lucy.
Oh, continuous as the stars that shine, and twinkling on the Milky Way, they stretched a never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance.
The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not be gay. A poet could not be gay in such a company. I gazed and gazed with little thought, what wealth did the show to me have brought.
When on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pen.
I'm sorry, I messed up. Go
All
ahead.
I said me. Okay. All I said me. When on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is in the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills, and dances with the daffodils.
Okay, so Charlie, I'm sorry, I messed up. I called on Lucy, but Charlie, you can tell us what's the first word you boxed?
Sprightly.
Sprightly. Okay, so right here,
Where's that?
sprightly. Does anybody know what sprightly means?
It's like springy and happy, right?
So yeah, it's kind of how it sounds. It means lively, animated, or if you want to think bubbly to go with sprite, that would work. So you come over here, and of course you would be looking this up in a dictionary, which I've already done. You just need to write 2 words. If you want to write bubbly, you can.
Wait, do you, like if you,
Okay, this shouldn't be hard. We're boxing in sprightly. Let's say that you boxed another word. That's fine. You need to have 4 words boxed.
4?
4?
Hold on. We're going to get 4 as a class.
Oh.
Okay? Olivia.
Veils. Like, on the very bottom.
Okay. So let's look at the context clues.
I'm gonna say it's a valley.
Valley.
Yeah. Because it floats on high or vales and hills. So yeah, it is. I looked it up. It's valleys. Okay. Belle, what's another word? Jocund. No, jocund. Jocund. I looked it up.
Wait, is it not joking? It's
No.
jockin'?
It's jocund. Jocund. Okay, and jocund means, it kind of looks like joke. It means cheerful and glad.
But we knew.
Jocund. which kind of
You gotta
goes,
use
Just I need a
context
water
to
bottle.
fill that.
No, that doesn't make sense.
It does.
in such a cheerful company, a poet could not be but gay, which by the way is happy.
But it doesn't say.
Oh, yes, it does. I read it.
Okay, I need another word, Maddie.
Pensive?
Oh, pensive, this
And
is
bacon.
such a great word. Anybody know what pensive means?
Like,
Nothing. No,
It means reflective. It said dreamy and thoughtful, reflective. I'm gonna do reflective, thoughtful. So, you know, when you're just kind of thinking about something, like what happened last summer and what happened to those people at camp. I wonder if there'll be a camp this year. That's all pensive. You're just kind of reflecting. Okay, so we could, hold on, we could do more, but we're just gonna do these. I wanna give you the idea. Now, we're gonna read it a third time, and this is the time where you're going to highlight what literary devices you see. So I am going to ask Charlie and Sadie and Logan and Catherine to read it this time. And this is not time to turn around and talk to people. You are underlining literary devices that you see. Charlie, Sadie, Logan, sorry, Catherine. Okay.
I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze.
Oh, sorry. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. They stretched in a never-ending line along the margin of the bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance.
The waves beside them danced, the bay outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a joking company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought.
For oft when on my couch I lie, in vexed or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills, and dances with the daffodils.
Okay, awesome. So Josh, what is a literary device that you see in the first stanza?
Lonely as a cloud.
Lonely as a cloud. Okay, what is it?
Simile.
Simile. Okay. Jonathan, what's another?
This goes on for a while, but
Just stanza one.
fluttering, dancing in the breeze, the daffodils.
Okay, so we've got, what is that?
Personification.
Personification. So this is what you're doing. You're highlighting and you're writing in the margin what it is. You don't have to spell out personification.
Can I underline?
I mean,
Oh, I underline.
if you're underlining, that's fine. I think, I like color. I think it's nice to have some variety. Okay, Maddie. Okay, a crowd and host are both what?
Personification.
Personification.
I sure was.
I said a host of golden.
Metaphor.
Okay, so you guys, a crowd, like we actually looked this up in fourth period because couldn't you just have a crowd of something that doesn't involve people, but every definition was it's a large number of people. It is a person term.
Wait,
So
so
some,
of golden daffodils, you're including that?
yes, yes, okay. Let's see, Christian, right here, beside the lake, beneath the tree, what would this be? Beside, beneath.
Alliteration.
Alliteration, remember it's just on the same line. And then I want to see if anybody sees assonance. A line where there's assonance is where the same vowel sound is seen in the middle of the words on the first.
Trees and breeze.
Okay, Sadie,
Well, oh, wait, never mind. Wait, which paragraph are we
we're on stanza
I
one.
was stanza one.
Yeah, Olivia?
A host of golden daffodils.
There it is, host golden daffodils. So that is an example of assonance. Okay? Assonance, okay. Okay, so do you see how much? Well, there's a lot in there. Okay, that's stanza one. Let's do stanza two. Tim, give me a literary device.
Never ending lines hyperbole.
counting the daffodils, and I don't know, I doubt there's 10,000, maybe there is, but he's not counting them. Okay, Anna Grace,
Continuous as the stars that shine.
what's that?
Simile.
Simile? Okay, bless you. Jacob, what do you see?
It twinkled on the Milky Way, is that one?
Ooh, now what is that? There's a couple things that could be.
Isn't it continuous with simile?
Yeah.
That shine and twinkle, continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on. It is a part of that
I feel
simile,
like 4 lines of that is part of it.
but I guess I'm thinking Milky Way.
It's the thing that like goes to the different illusion.
Illusion. Where does Milky Way come from? I'm pretty sure
Science.
that's from.
Space.
Space.
It's our
It's
galaxy.
a galaxy.
Is it a scientific term?
It's
It's
our
a
galaxy.
galaxy.
Look at the name of our galaxy.
Okay, well, never mind
It's
that.
also
Never
Greek,
mind
I
that.
think.
I was
It's also
thinking it was
Greek.
from Greek literature or something. Okay.
I've been talking kind of
But it's dance.
Yeah.
It's dance and sprightly dance, so personification. Okay, guys, keep going. There could be more, but we're gonna just keep going. You wanna give your best effort. Okay, what do we see, Sarah Rhodes? What do we see in the third stanza?
And the third stanza?
We're gonna see more of the same, but just,
Okay, I said the waves beside the dance with personification.
okay, lots of personification. Okay, Catherine, what do you see? Let me ask you, Catherine, right here, sparkling waves, what is that? Imagery, okay, so does that appeal to the senses? Yeah. There's actually tons of imagery in here, I'm just highlighting a little bit. Okay, what about this? Gaze and gaze. A noun for emphasis, repetition for emphasis. Okay, what about the last line? What wealth the show to me had brought.
What wealth is an alliteration?
Okay, well, we've kind of got this. Here's an alliteration. What wealth?
Is it like a metaphor?
It's like a metaphor. Where they're talking about like the show. All of this, like them dancing, and outdoing the sparkling waves. They're comparing that to a show. Okay? Okay, and then last stanza, Maddie.
They flash upon that
No. Okay, so he's laying on his couch in a reflective mood, and they flash on his inward eye. He's remembering. It's so they are not being personified, but what would you say this is? They flash on the inward eye.
Imagery?
I would call that imagery. It's creating an image of what it's like to remember. Okay, Olivia?
and dances with the gospel.
Because the heart dances, not the tongue.
Is it, which is the bliss of solitude, isn't that,
Oh, go for it.
hold on,
Hold on.
it starts with an A, it's assonance.
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 Assonance, there you go.
Cassandra?
Wait, what is
Only one who's gotten that today. Which is the bliss of sol it? It's all short eyes. Okay? Belle.
Is my heart filled with pleasure a metaphor? Because.
And dance with the daffodils personification.
Then my heart. Okay, yeah, let's do this real quick. Dances with daffodils is personification and alliteration. My heart with pleasure filled. Okay, so it can't literally fill with pleasure.
That's why I thought it was a metaphor. Because a person.
So what would it be a metaphor? What is your heart being compared to?
Cup.
Okay, I like that. I'll go with that. We'll call that a metaphor. Okay, so you guys see, I think this is really cool. That's the third step. Fourth step. Now we're going to write a summary. for each stanza. Just a one sentence, what is it saying? So the first stanza introduces us to the poet, and what is he doing?
Flying.
He wandered on
Yeah,
that
He's
path
not
of
flying,
daffodils.
Jacob.
His mind is wandering.
He wandered to a path of daffodils.
Maybe his mind is wandering.
He's
Okay.
driving.
So the poet is walking,
Or should
and
he
you
be
could
in a
have said
plane?
a couple of things. You could have said he's walking in nature
I think he's flying.
and sees, he's not really a cloud. I feel like I need to make clear, that's a simile. He's not really a cloud. Poet is walking in nature and sees daffodils. Okay? So this is pretty concrete. Got that?
And then
Okay.
he's describing like where they are and what they look like.
Okay, so just pick out, how does he describe them?
Like dancing and in the wind.
Describes daffodils, well, dancing is one part, they're continuous as the stars.
There are a lot of them and they're dancing.
And it's windy.
As, hey, how's this? He describes the daffodils as multitudinous.
Oh.
I don't like that word.
A lot. He describes a lot, no, we don't, okay, that's fine. We're just going through the exercise. As multitudinous and beautiful. Or you could have said moving, that would be fine. You're trying to use words that are a little different from what's in the poem. Okay, and then, what is the third? How would you?
Ooh, he's comparing them. The waves beside them dance.
No,
He
he's
looked at them.
He looked at the surroundings.
Sparkling waves.
He was
of blue.
staring at them.
He look at the surroundings.
Okay, so the poet is absorbed in observation, observing nature. Okay, hold on, no. Yeah, we're not done. Okay, now this is the most important one, the last one, which means you're not gonna have to. Okay, so the last one, what is the message here? Now he's not in the field anymore. Where is he?
At home.
Fine.
He's at
tired.
home, and what?
He's remembering it all of what he saw.
He's reflecting.
He's done.
Reflective mood.
Okay, when he reflects, Charlie, what does it do for him?
He's
Make him
done.
happy.
Fills his heart with pleasure.
Makes him happy. You want to use different words. So when the poet reflects on beauty, he is happy. Now there's one final step, but we'll do that tomorrow. I am checking this off as homework, which just basically means you have to keep up with it and show it to me tomorrow.
Oh crap, I'm gonna lose it. Christian, I need a water
You
bottle.
have to keep up with it and
Now.
show it to me tomorrow.
Now.
Bring your poetry packet tomorrow too.
Oh, no, share my water.
Okay, Maddie, do you want me to pull up your?
Unless you don't want to.
Sadie. Pull up
I'm ready. I'm ready. I can't laugh another 10 parts about over there. I've already Belle, I'm gonna get to drive the rain.
Wait, what'd you say? What'd you say? Olivia, what did you say?
I get to drive the rain. I know you're texting. You guys are driving. Liza, I would be impossible. Huh? I'll come with you out here already.
Oh my goodness.
I think yours is over your order. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Childers.
You're welcome. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Hey, you said
It was like, yeah, 18. No, I take it back. It was 18.
Thank you, Miss Childers.
I get it right. And poetry and what like. You know what poetry is? Thank you. Hi, Sadie.
What'd you say?
It's an actual word, and I love reading words.
Why is your back still wet, Christian?
All that. It's not good drive.
I can take Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday.
practice at all. I know that sounds really bad for me, but I haven't really practiced too much.
Well, I know that you're a